For those of you watching my channel recently, it's no surprise there's a lot of lava on it. My next Kickstarter is lava and I've just got lava on the brain. And one thing I needed to do was some lava mini bases. Now normally you do these in resin, but I tried to see if FDM, it's not normally that detailed, but if FDM could work. And that's because all my other tiles were FDM and I've painted them up and they've been okay. I did print all of those in clear filament though, and the bases, they're not going to be clear. So would it make a difference to how I painted the lava? I designed 6 different lava tiles and this little container for them. And if you want them, they'll be on the Kickstarter coming out in September. There's a little space underneath for you to magnetise, and because I use office magnets, they're quite big, it's quite a long space. So thanks to John Games at Second Dynasty, who suggested doing these little sort of trailer bits underneath to help with the bridging across, because otherwise you get a bit of a sag in the middle. And these are just a little bit further in, they don't have to go as far, and it just helps. So thanks, John. After that, it's down to the basics I always use. Masking tape on a bit of card, stick them on, take them outside, and I sprayed them with matte black car paint. But bases need minis, so it's 5s in Echo, plus my 5 ARC Troopers going on. There's some spare bases left over. Time to paint. Now these tiles, these little mini bases, they've all got really deep cracks, so they're actually very easy to paint the lava. And I used all the paints I'd mixed up for the last video. All of the recipes are on that, so I'm not going to repeat them here, I'll just give you a link. I use mostly oranges and reds, and these have all got fluorescent colours mixed in to give them a bit of a zing. And when it's dried, you need to do it all again, because it just isn't quite bright enough with just one coat of orange over black. Not really a surprise. Then I remembered I hadn't sprayed the edges with my dark tire black, mostly dark grey, colour that all my bases are done in, so I had to go and do that quickly in the airbrush booth. And whilst I was in there, I had printed some Deadly Print Studios smoke plumes for my ARC Troopers. They're supposed to go on flight stands, but they look a bit naff, and these smoke plumes are absolutely gorgeous. So I took the opportunity to paint those up. It's just a fine grey spray along the bottom of the smoke plumes. I'll deal with the tops later. And the last base coat is on the rocks. Now these are a dark grey. They're dried lava and cracked effectively. So a large flat brush is all you need to just catch the surfaces. And I followed that up with a drier brush of a lighter warm grey, just to highlight some of the tips and tops and give it a bit more depth. I love trying new things, and I bought these alcohol inks to go over clear resin, and this is clear resin at the top. So I thought, let's have a go with some orange and red. The only thing is, alcohol inks do spread a lot, so you don't need to put very much on. But overall, I'm quite pleased how they came out. A quick dry brush of white over the grey at the bottom, and they were done. Easy peasy. Now this isn't a mini painting video, but the logical colour to put with lava is blue, because lava's reds and yellows and the complementary colour is blue, so I just had to do 501st arcs. If that means nothing to you, I painted my cones in a blue and white markings. And now it's time to make the lava zing a bit. Now, this is lava. It actually quite looks alright at the moment, but it looks a bit bland and boring. It's very one-dimensional. It doesn't seem to be glowing. Now, I am not a fan of OSL, object source lighting, but when it comes to something like this, I give in and do it. And normally I'd have put a lit something beneath, but when you've got no lighting turned on, you have to paint the light on lava or it just looks a bit weird. So to do that, I used orange fluorescent mini paint. Up till now, I've been using artist's acrylics because I had loads of paint mixed up, but this is actually a fluorescent orange paint specifically for minis. I find they're quite translucent, but if you puddle them, they dry in a really bright orange glowy mass. But this is here to represent the glow of the lava. But it's not just the rock around the cracks that's going to glow, it's the men too. Now I tried this on my Shatterpoint minis and it sucked. It was just too much. So I've been incredibly subtle, Maybe a little too subtle this time, but I have put a small amount of orange fluorescent paint on any of the areas that might pick up a bit of glow from the lava. But only low and only near the bottom, and generally more on the darker areas because they'll obviously show brighter light more. Note to self, next time check which way the man goes on the smoke plumes before you glue them on, otherwise he might look a little bit drunk. You can see at the bottom of this one, I've got a few of those little orange splodges I was talking about. So I just went over them with a dark, thin red, just a normal red paint, but very thin. I cannot tell you how important it is to leave things to dry, to settle and look at them the next day, because this just looked a bit messy now. Time to just make it look more like cracks. The orange has spread. On the lava tiles that inspired these mini bases, I went over the edges at this point with a warm grey, a little bit toned down with the darker lava grey that was there, but it just makes it look like the light has spilt and lit the rock, but it's not glowing orange anymore. So that's what I did here. It brings the rocks back and gets rid of some of the glow, but tones it down to probably where it was more likely to sit. So left is done and right is not. And for a final pop, the hottest part of lava is yellow, and it's often the deepest part because it's closest to the bottom, which is hotter rather than the top where it started to cool. So in all the really deep hollows, I put on this thin fluorescent yellow. I say thin because all my fluorescent paints seem to be very thin. They don't have a lot of depth to them. And I ran it into the cracks and just let it run along. It adds a certain something, and it dries not quite as bright. It does settle down as it dries, but it certainly makes it look like there's more depth to those cracks. They were very one-dimensional colours before. Now they've got two colours in there at least. And a quick spray of matte varnish later, and I was done. They do look cool. I mean, I've got to say I do love the 501st anyway, but adding them onto lava, whoa, it does take it to another level. Don't forget to sign up for my new Kickstarter, all lava stuff coming soon in September. Plus, subscribe, like, hit the bell button, all those usual things. And thank you to my members. You can support me too if you want to, but otherwise, I'll see you next time.